good afternoon, good evening. How are you guys doing? Hope all is well. If this is your first time of seeing my channel, please subscribe and click on the notification bell in order to see future videos that we posted on this channel. Today we'll be dealing with the topic excogitation. Excogitation is the habit of having negative cyclic thinking or recurrent and persistent worrying about an event, especially one that happened in the past. It involves repetitive and passive focus on the causes and consequences of one's symptoms of distress without engagement in the active coping or problem solving to alleviate the dysphoric mood. Dysphoria describes an emotional state which comes from unhappiness or sadness about an event, a painful experience from the past. Excogitation could also mean contemplation, reflection, reminiscence, introspection, disquisition, cerebration, cogitation, musing, speculation, and fixation. In more simpler terms, excogitation simply means rumination. Rumination comes from the word rumen, which is one of the four-chambered stomachs of ruminant animals. Example of ruminant animals, the most common example to be precise, are cattle, sheep, and goats. Ruminant animals usually regurgitate what they have eaten, chews it again to further digest it, and swallows it. Therefore, rumination is a habit whereby a person keeps on regurgitating all the bad thoughts and experiences they've had in the past again and again continuously in their mind. It is when a person is stuck in a loop of repeated negative thoughts and doesn't stop even if they want to. In this journey we call life, there will always be obstacles and tribulations. Some people already know this and are therefore prepared to face it when it happens. Unfortunately, so many others do not know about this and are therefore hit by surprise when such unforeseen circumstances occurs. These unforeseen circumstances could be the loss of a loved one, the loss of a good job, the divorce of a spouse, unexpected attack, betrayal of a friend or a relative, and so on and so forth. When people are hit by it without expecting it, they usually face shock. They usually experience shock because the thing is unexpected. Now, after this, post-traumatic stress could also come in, which can result to those people reliving the past. This is because they wish that things didn't happen the way it did. This leads them to keep on having all those negative cyclic thinking that I talked about earlier in this video. They keep on thinking about it, recycling it in their mind, and keeps on. It's just a circle. It keeps on. They begin and they end. They begin and they end. They obsess about their mistakes, their problems, and things that didn't go as planned. They keep on regurgitating those thoughts in their hearts with no clear solution on how to solve them. It gets to an extent where they become completely helpless, and it begins to affect their lives in the present. Philippians chapter 4 verse 6 says, "Do not be anxious but at anything, but by prayer and petition with thanksgiving submit your requests to God." Not being anxious about anything simply means removing your mind from that problem that you had that is bugging you. Removing your mind, because sometimes even your relatives, the people that you love, people that you cherish, can betray you. And if you're not careful, you will spend years in that circle, hurting yourself. So remove your mind from it so that God can take control and help you pull through that particular circumstance. Types of excogitation. Number 1, reflective excogitation. This is usually viewed generally as a positive type of excogitation, in which people reflect on those problems they had in the past and seek out solution. But in most cases, by human nature, we end up hovering around in that circle without any solution, which leads us to the second type of excogitation, which is brooding excogitation. This is a step ahead in the negative direction of reflective excogitation. In this situation, a person begins to develop negative moods and negative thoughts about oneself based on that event that happened in the past. It can even lead them to become drug abusers and also develop complicated health conditions like depression and anxiety and many other sicknesses involved. Causes or origins of excogitation. Number 1, emotional or physical trauma from the past. When a person experiences something very bad from his past, there is a high chance that he will be emotionally affected. He will be traumatized. It is what is generally known as post-traumatic stress. He will be traumatized to the extent that he doesn't even know that he is now in the present anymore. He keeps on reliving the past. In other words, he has started ruminating. Number two, possession of certain personal characteristics. Personal features such as perfectionism, neuroticism, and too much focus on people's relationship with that person can make a person ruminate, because not everybody is like you. So most of the time, when you have done things perfect, doesn't mean that others will do it perfect as you did. In other words, if you're not careful, you can get yourself to ruminate. Number three, facing ongoing stressors. When a person encounters a situation that is very similar to the one that happened in the past, it can lead the person to ruminate, in the sense that when they see it, they remember that past hurt they had. Then number four, thinking that ruminating will solve the problem. When you are ruminating, when you think that ruminating will solve your problem, it ends up multiplying your problem, because it is a circle, it is a trap. When you are inside it, it keeps on going, you keep on going from A to Z, back to A, and going to Z, just like that, without any end. Signs and or indications of excogitation. Number one, excessive talking about painful topic. If you are somebody who keeps on talking about an event that happened in your past, especially a painful one, you keep on talking about it, you keep on recycling it. Sometimes it can even take years, it can take 5 years, 10 years, and you're still talking about that same problem. There is a high chance that you are ruminating. Number two, mood swings. If you are somebody that wakes up in the morning, you are happy, in the afternoon you are angry, in the evening you are sad, always, you can even go from minute to minute. This minute you have this particular feeling, the other minute you have another feeling. There is a high chance that you are ruminating. Number three, lack of interest in usual activities. Example, somebody who likes to play football, who suddenly stops joining his peers to play football. What it simply means is that the person is ruminating, because you cannot just stop an activity you like to do. So if you have a friend that suddenly stopped doing what both of you like doing together, it means that the person is ruminating. Number four, feelings of helplessness and worthlessness. A lot of people has this particular problem, in the sense that they once upon a time encountered other people who looked down on them and told them derogatory words. So one of the ways to solve this particular problem is by replacing those derogatory and negative words with positive affirmations. Number five, appetite disturbances. When a person who likes eating suddenly stops eating entirely, or begins to eat little by little without any reason whatsoever. It's not like they want to reduce their weight or whatever, but they just decided they either stop eating or they just eat little. Something is obviously bugging them. In other words, they may be ruminating. And then number six, suicidal thoughts. When a person around you keeps on talking about it just takes one breath and it will end. In other words, he has it in his mind that all it takes is just to end it and end the suffering and everything is over. There is a high chance that that person is ruminating, because once it gets to this stage, it means that it is the last stage and it is the most dangerous stage. When you have somebody like that, it is advisable to monitor that person all the time in order to avoid that person doing something they are not supposed to do. Solutions to excogitation. Proverbs chapter 4 verse 23 says, above all, guide your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Guiding your heart simply means monitoring your thoughts pattern and refusing to let the past dwell there. You must learn to replace those negative thoughts that flood in because of your past with positive affirmations. You do this by, number one, distracting yourself. When you observe that you ruminate, anytime it comes, because it comes uninvited, all you have to do as a human being is to distract yourself. You can distract yourself by singing praises, or by singing worship songs, or by studying the word of God, or by doing any other positive activity that can completely remove your mind from that particular issue. Number two, question your thoughts. Most times it takes a person to question his thoughts about a particular issue before he accepts that thought. So at the point when you begin to question yourself, you begin to realize that this thought is useless. It doesn't make sense. And once you have that realization, you will stop ruminating. Number three, understand your triggers. Triggers are those things that could make you remember that painful past. It could be a person, it could be a place, or it could even be a thing. So if, for example, somebody who hurt you in the past is living around you, under normal circumstances, if you cannot just stop ruminating, in order to avoid developing thoughts of vengeance and doing things that you're not supposed to do, it is most of the time important that you relocate from that place. That could be the solution to the problem. You could just avoid it or learn to live with it, but it's not advisable. Most times, people usually fail woefully at doing this. Number 4, work on enhancing your self-esteem. If you're somebody whose problem of ruminating comes from derogatory statements of others towards you in the past, you have to learn to work on enhancing that. You always have to look at the mirror and tell yourself that you are more than what they asserted you to be. You are more than who they think you are. You are special. You are powerful. You are intelligent. Just say the opposite things they said about you to yourself, and you'll see gradually you will stop ruminating. Number 5, accept that the past can never happen again. There is a popular saying, yesterday is history, tomorrow is mystery, but today is a gift. That is why it is called present. The earlier you accept that it has happened and is never going to repeat itself again, the better for you. Until you begin to accept that the past is now in the past, you will never be able to move ahead with your life. You will never be able to look forward to a beautiful future. So it is important that you learn to move forward, no matter, because whether you like it or not, time and tide waits for no man. Time is not waiting for you, and there is nothing you will do to change it. So my dear, move forward. Philippians chapter 4 verse 8 says, finally, brothers and sisters, anything that is pure, anything that is lovely, anything that is right, anything that is noble, anything that is true, anything that is admirable, think about such things. Ruminating usually starts from the heart. Which is why anybody having this particular problem should learn to always distract themselves with better thoughts in order to avoid depression. If you are someone who tends to ruminate, it is important that you do not judge yourself for being this way. Instead, flood a pool of bloody and painful experiences in the past with a pool of better ones. Just as you had painful experiences in the past, you also had very good ones. So why dwell on those painful ones when you can dwell on the very good ones? Just as cattle, sheep and goats eat their cord in endless, again and again in endless circles, ruminating can cause an endless loop of sorrow and at the same time exhaust your energy. Whenever you are ruminating, you will discover that the energy you lose is just equal to the energy of a person working overtime at the office. So leave ruminating for the animals alone. Life is a series of moments, and moments are dynamic, just like thoughts, positive and negative. And although it may be human nature to dwell like many natural things, it is senseless to allow a single thought to inhibit your mind, because thoughts are like visitors that can be allowed into your heart or not. So if you are a person, as a human being, it is your power. You have the power to allow people to come into your heart, into your life, into your house, and you also have the power to get them moving out. In the same way, you have the power to allow that thought to come in or not. In other words, if you are ruminating, it is you that is indirectly propagating it. You are letting it occupy your heart when you have the option of allowing better things to occupy your heart. Therefore, it is time for us to come back to our senses and realize that the past will not happen again. It is time for us to realize that the past does not have any power over us anymore. It is time for us to realize that we are in control of this time called present, and our actions now will determine the future. It is time we stop ruminating so that we can start to live the way our God created us from the beginning of time. Thanks and God bless.